Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about another multivariate technique, that is factor analysis. So, first of all, we will understand what is a factor. Okay, factor is basically a linear combination of variables, and it is a construct or anything that is not directly observed based on the variables, but it needs to be inferred from the input variables. Okay, so we have to get some inferential information from the variables we have as our input variables. Okay, so it will not be directly given, we have to infer some of the meaningful variables from these given input. So these are called factors. Okay, and these are basically the combination of variables. Next, we'll see what is the factor analysis. So it is a technique which is applicable when there is some systematic interdependence among the set of variables. Okay, the whatever observed variables we have choose, so there will be some interdependence among all the variables, and the researcher is interested in finding something about more fundamental, which is which is based on the commonality. Okay, so the researcher will find out some of the fundamental variables from these input variables, which is based on the commonality. So each variable, each factor will which we are choosing from the given set of variables is based on the principle of commonality. Okay, so for example, we have the data about the individual's income, education, occupation, dwelling area, and we want to infer from these variables some of the factors. We want to infer some of the factor based on these variables, which summarizes the commonality of all the four variables. Okay, so the factor will be based on the some common variable or common behavior of all these four variables. Okay, so this technique allows the researcher to group variables into factors. This will be based on the correlation between the variables, and these factors are so derived that may be treated as a new variable. Okay, and their value is derived by summing up the values of original variables which have been grouped together into the factor. Okay, so suppose we can see the part diagram of factor analysis model. Suppose we have some unique or uncorrelated variables e1, e2, e3 and e4 and e5. Okay, and this y1, y2, y3, y4, y5 are the observed variables, and they are possibly the five measures of the observations e1, e2, e3, e4, e5 observations. Okay, some these are measured variables. Okay, and f1 and f2 are the common factor of these variables. Okay, so these factors show the interdependence. Here we can see we have only five factors, so this is quite easy to find the meaningful factors from these five variables. But in case of hundreds or thousands of variables, the researcher is interested only some important or meaningful factors. Okay, so in that case the factor analysis technique is very useful. Okay, so this is how we can understand what we do in factor analysis. Next, the methodology. So the mathematical basis of factor analysis is based on the data matrix, which is also called the score matrix. Okay, so the score matrix is represented by S. Here this matrix contains the score of n persons. Okay, it has the scores of n person of k total measures. Okay, measures means variables. So thus A1 if we see the score of person 1 on variable A. Similarly, A2 is the score of person 2 on the variable A. Okay. So the score matrix will be in this form. Now, first we will standardize the score of each measure by using the standardization formula. Okay. So for this, the sum of score in any column of the matrix is assumed to be 0 and the variance of the score in any column is assumed to be 1. Okay. Then the factors of the given variable in the data matrix can be stated in this way. Okay. So in this way, by any method of factoring or factor analysis. Okay. After obtaining the factors, we'll work out for factor loading. Factor loading shows the factor and variable correlations. Then we will calculate the commonality which is symbolized by h square. Then the eigenvalues and total sum of square will be obtained. And based on these, we will interpret the results. To get more better result, we will use the technique of factor rotation. Okay, because such rotation reveals the different structure of data, and finally the factor scores will be obtained. Okay, which will help to examine the more meaningful variables or factors. Okay, so this score which we are getting through this factor analysis technique is also help to perform other multivariate analysis techniques such as multiple regression, cluster analysis and multiple discriminant analysis. Okay, so the various terminologies related to factor analysis are: number one is factor loading. Factor loading shows the correlation of each variable and factor. Okay, so loading indicates basically the degree of correspondence between the variable and factor. But higher loading means the variable the more relation between variables and the factors. Next is commonality. It shows how much each of the variable is accounted by the underlying factor if we are taking them together. So a high value of commonality means that not much of the variable is left over, and we have considered maximum variables in the considered factor. Okay, next is eigenvalue. So eigenvalue for a given factor measures the variance of all the variable which is accounted by that factor. Okay, and this is also called as characteristic root. Next term is factor rotation. So factor rotation is basically done to improve the representation of the factor by reducing some of the ambiguities that are often we get through factoring methods. Okay, so to improve the results or to get better interpretation, we do factor rotation. Okay, next is the total variation of any variable can be divided into three variants. Number one is common variance, which is defined as the variance in each of the variable that is shared with all variable in the analysis is called common variance in each variable. Next is specific variance, that is also called as unique variance. It is the variance associated with a specific variable. Okay, third is called error variance. So this variance is not basically explained by the correlation with other variable, but it is basically due to some error. Okay, error may be in data gathering, processing, measurement, or some random component. Okay, so the total variance will be the sum of common variance, specific variance, and error variance. Next term is factor score. So the factor score represents the degree to which each respondents get. Okay, so high score on the group of the items that that is loaded by the respondent on each factor. Okay, so the assumptions of factor analysis are there is no outliers, means the data is normalized. We have the adequate sample size. Okay, so approximately 30 sample size we prefer, so less than 30 sample size is not preferred in factor analysis. So next is multi collinearity and singularity should be among the variable, should not be there. Okay, next term is homodesticity, should not exist between the variables. Okay, and also the factor analysis is a linear function of measured variable, and the variable should be linear in nature, and data should be metric. Okay, it should be in terms of interval, measured in terms of interval or ratio score. So these are some of the assumptions of factor analysis. Next, these basic steps we follow in factor analysis. First of all is formulation of problem. Then we will test the basic assumptions we have studied. We'll construct the correlation matrix. Okay, then we'll choose the method of factor analysis. Then we determine the number of factors. Okay, the meaningful factors we will determine. Then we'll perform the rotation of factor, and we will interpret the result or meaningful result from the factors. Okay, so these are the basic steps of factor analysis. Next, there are basically three methods of factor analysis. Number one is centroid method, principal component method, and maximum likelihood. So first we will understand the centroid method of factor analysis. So this method is based on the maximization of sum of loadings, and it disregards the sign of scores. Okay, so it is the method which extracts the largest sum of absolute loading in each factor. So it is defined by the linear combination in which all the weights are either will be in +1 or in -1. Okay, so the various steps that are involved in this method are, first of all we will start with the computation of the matrix of correlation, which is called denoted by R, where the unities will be in diagonal spaces. All the diagonal element of the correlation matrix will be 1. Okay, next, if the correlation matrix obtained above is positive manifold, then the centroid method requires that the weight should be all in positive. Okay, then we will calculate or determine the first centroid factor. Okay, next, to obtain the second centroid factor, we will take the first residual coefficient matrix, or we will determine the first residual coefficient matrix, and for this the loading of the first two variable on the first centroid factor is multiplied. Okay, so to calculate this residual coefficient matrix, all the all the factors of first factors, all the on the two variable side are multiplied. Okay, so this is basically done by cross multiplication. This is the matrix residual coefficient is obtained by cross multiplication of first centroid factors. Okay, we will better understand this by an example. Okay, so after the second centroid factor is obtained, we will calculate the eigenvalues, commonality, and we'll do rotation of factors also. Okay, next we will see one example. So in this example we have 8 variables with unities in diagonal element. All the diagonal element have unit value. Okay, so this is the correlation matrix which is denoted by R. So we have to find the first and second centroid factors from this information using centroid methods of factor analysis. Okay, so we need to find only two factors. We can find more than two also if required, but here we have asked to find only two factors. Okay, so this is our correlation matrix. So the first step is, as we can see that all the data or the scores in a given correlation matrix is positive manifold. Okay, because all the weights are in positive one. So we will calculate the first centroid factor. Like first step is we'll get the column sum. Okay, we'll add all the values of each column and get the column sum for each variable 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So this is the column sum. Now we'll get the sum of the column sum, that is denoted by capital T. So we'll add all the column sum and the total is 27.887. Okay, next we'll get the square root of the total sum, which comes out to be 5.281. Okay, so this square root of total sum will be used in calculating the loads of each variable. Okay, so this is or determined by dividing the column sum by the square root of total column sum. Okay, so each column sum of variable is divided by this square root, so it will give us the first centroid factor. Okay, so this is how the first centroid factor for each variables is calculated. So this is the centroid loading. Okay, so the full set of loading is obtained by this is called first centroid factor. Okay, so now we will proceed for second centroid factor. So this is how we will represent the centroid factors or loading factors for each variable. So this is called first centroid factor. So we'll use this first centroid factor to calculate second centroid factor. So to obtain second centroid factor, we'll first develop the first matrix of factor cross product, which is denoted by Q1. Okay, so this Q1 matrix is obtained by first centroid factor cross product. So we will write all the first factors in this way. Okay, and this way. Okay, so we will cross multiply each factor to get the score of cross product matrix. Okay, so multiply by this will give us A11. Okay, this multiply by this will give us A12. So this multiply by this give us A13. This multiply by this will give us A14. So similarly up to A18 we will get, and finally at A8 we will get this way. Okay, so this is called the cross product matrix of factor. Okay, so this is obtained by first centroid factor. So we'll get the score of all the cross product matrix this way. Now we have to find the first residual matrix, which is denoted by N. First residual coefficient matrix, which is denoted by R1. Okay, so this matrix is obtained by subtracting the cross product matrix from our correlation matrix. Okay, so this is our correlation matrix. So all the data, these data will be subtracted from the cross product matrix, or the cross product matrix will be will be subtracted from our correlation matrix. Thus we will get the residual coefficient matrix. Okay, so this way we will get the residual coefficient matrix R1. Okay, you can do all the calculation by your own. Next we will calculate some refracted variables based on this residual coefficient. Okay, the residual coefficient are obtained usually by inspection. So the aim of selecting the residual variable is to obtain the reflected matrix R1 dash. Okay, so we need to find the score of reflected matrix R1 dash. So for this we have to find some residual variables. So these residual variables are selected by the researchers based on inspection. Okay, and the selected okay, we'll see later. Next we will remove all the negative points from these residual coefficient matrix and we'll get this way the complete matrix. Okay, we have removed all the residue or the negative signs from the residual coefficient matrix. Okay, so we have selected 4 variables, 3, 4 and 6 and 7. Okay, 6 and 7 as the residual variables. Okay, that's why we have marked them as star. 3, 4, 6, 7 as residual variables. So from this we will get our residual coefficient matrix R1 dash. Okay, R1 dash. So now similar way we will get the coefficient of the centroid factor from this residual matrix. Okay, we will get the sum of each column. Okay, we will get the sum of each column this way. Okay, this way up to 8th column. Okay, now after getting the column sum we will calculate the total sum of all columns. Okay, the total sum of each column is 20.987 and from this we will get the square root of total column sum, which comes out to be 4.581. Okay, so by dividing each column sum by this square root of total column sum we will get the second centroid or loading factor. Okay, second centroid and loading factor. But we can see here all the residual variables like 3, 4, 6, 7 will be given negative loadings. Okay, all these residual variables will be given negative sign. Okay, all these reflected variables will be given negative sign. Okay, this we have to remember. So this way we have calculated our first centroid factor and second centroid factor. So this is the final matrix of factor loading. Okay, for centroid A, centroid factor A or centroid factor B. This is the complete loading. So now we have calculated all the factors. Now we will calculate the commonality and eigenvalues. Okay, so the commonalities is calculated by the square of each ith variable summation and its summation. It is calculated by summation of each variable centroid factor squares. Okay, like 0.693 square plus 0.563 square will give us the commonality of first variable. Similar way we will calculate the commonality of all 8 variables. Okay, this way we will get the commonality of all 8 variables. Now we will calculate the eigenvalues. The eigenvalues of each centroid factor will be calculated by adding the square of each factor variable. Okay, so if we talk about centroid factor A, centroid factor A's eigenvalue will be calculated by its all variables square summation. Okay, like 0.693 square plus 0.618 square up to 0.683 square summation will give us first eigenvalues of centroid factor A. Similar way we will calculate the eigenvalues of centroid factor B. Okay, by adding all these square 0.563 square up to 0.593 square summation will give us the eigenvalues of centroid factor B. Clear? Now this is the total. By adding these two we'll get the total. Okay, now the proportion of common variance will be calculated by dividing each centroid factor by total centroid factor. Okay, so this is the proportion of common variance. So this is how we have calculated all the required data for centroid factor analysis method. Now the researchers can interpret its result based on these analysis. Okay, so this was all about centroid factor analysis method. Next we will see the principal component analysis method. So we have studied this method in detail in previous lecture, so I will not discuss it in more detail. So it is basically a dimensionality reduction technique. So here the variables are also shown as a linear combinations of all the variable, or the factor are shown as the linear combination of all the variable. This is how we can represent the variables or the factors in principal component analysis technique. Okay. The next method is called as maximum likelihood method of factor analysis. So this method of factor analysis is consists of obtaining the factor loading uh, that are obtained in such a way that it explains much possible of population that is estimated from sample matrix. Okay, what we are doing in maximum likelihood method, we are we are um, we are obtaining some of the, or determining some of the sample correlation matrix based on the complete population correlation matrix, and based on this sample correlation matrix we are trying to infer the maximum data of this population matrix. Okay, so here RS stands for the sample correlation matrix data. Okay, and RP stands for the correlation matrix that we have obtained from entire population. Okay, so this maximum likelihood method will try to extrapolate or infer um, the RS or sample correlation matrix in best possible way to estimate RP, or the population of our, or the what we can say performance of population correlation matrix. Okay, so this is a kind of statistical approach that is based on maximization of relationship between sample data and the population data from where we are drawing the sample. Okay, next the very important uh, term is rotation of factor. So we have already discussed the rotation of factor is basically done to simplify more the factor structure, and we want to achieve the simpler and more meaningful factor solution. Okay, so there are two common factor rotation techniques, that are orthogonal rotation and oblique rotation. These are further classified in these categories. So we will understand these rotation techniques. Okay, so the first factor is is assumed to be the general factor, or which is unrotated factor. Suppose we have two unrotated factors, factor 1 and factor 2, and the unrotated factor is the factor having maximum variance. So in each rotation we are trying to subsequently reduce the residual amount of variance. So the ultimate effect of this rotation of factor matrix will be to redistribute the variance from its earlier factor. Okay, so the last one factor which we will obtain will be the simpler and more meaningful factor pattern. Okay, next, in this figure 7, as we can see, we have five variable v1, v2, v3, v4 and v5. Okay, so the vertical axis here represents the unrotated factor 2 and the horizontal axis represent the unrotated factor 1. Okay, the axes are labeled with 0 at the origin it has 0 value, and it varies from +1 to -1. Okay, both the axis varies from +1 to -1. So here the five variables are labeled as v1, v2, v3, v4 and v5. Okay, the factor loading for variable 2, the factor loading for variable 2 on unrotated factor 2 is determined by drawing a dashed line horizontally from the data point to the vertical axis of factor 2. Okay, by drawing a horizontal axis. Okay, and similarly we can draw a vertical dashed line from variable 2 to the horizontal axis for factor 1, unrotated factor 1, to determine the loading of variable 2 on factor 1. Okay, so this is how we can move to find the loading of each variable on unrotated factor 1, or sorry, unrotated factor 2 or unrotated factor 1. Okay, so on the unrotated first factor, all the variables load fairly high. If we load all the variables here, they load fairly high value. Okay, for unrotated factor 1, if you want to load all the variables on factor 1, so the value is fairly high for all the variables. Okay, and if you want to rotate all the variables on factor 2, okay, so we can see on factor 2 v1 and v2 are very high in positive direction. v1 and v2 are very high on positive direction, and v5 is high on negative direction, while v3 and v4 are considerably lower loading in negative direction. Okay, so this is how we can get the loadings of each variable on factor 1 and 2. Okay, so after rotating the factor axis, the variable 3 4 5, if we are rotating 3 4 5, load high on factor 1. Okay, this will be high on factor 1, and 1 2 will be high on factor 2. If we load here, the 1 2 will be high on factor 2. Okay, so thus we can find the clustering pattern of these variables into two groups. Okay, group 1 is here, group 2 is here. So this is how we can predict their behavior. Okay, more inferably based on rotation. Okay, so here we can see that we are rotating these two factors in orthogonal, or they are 90 degree with each other. So this is called orthogonal rotation. So in this we can rotate at any angle, so this is called oblique rotation. Okay, so here in this graph we have shown oblique or orthogonal rotation together. Okay, so this is the oblique rotation. So the oblique rotation actually gives much more good prediction is in comparison to orthogonal rotation, but the most of the software packages available are restricted to orthogonal rotation. So we use this orthogonal rotation techniques much uh, higher rate in comparison to oblique rotation. Okay, so this was all about factor analysis. Thank you.